Hello and welcome back to Health Hub. Today we will be covering the female reproductive system. The female reproductive system consists of both external and internal structures. We'll start by examining the internal structures which are primarily responsible for the production of eggs and the nurturing of a developing embryo. Let's start with the ovaries. The ovaries are like small oval-shaped organs located on both sides of the uterus. The ovary is the female gonad, so this is basically the female version of the testis. It is responsible for producing eggs, and it releases the eggs in a process called ovulation. It is also responsible for producing hormones such as estrogen and progesterone. Next, we have the fimbria. The fimbria are like little fingers at the end of the fallopian tubes. When the ovaries release an egg, the fimbria catch it like a net and guide it into the fallopian tube. It's like they're giving the egg a helpful push in the right direction. Fallopian tubes, also called oviducts, are two delicate tubes that connect the ovaries to the uterus. They have an important job of carrying the eggs from the ovaries to the uterus. It's like a special highway for the eggs. The fallopian tube is also the site of fertilization, where sperm meets the released egg. The uterus, which is also known as the womb, is this muscular organ that is designed to support fetal development. The fertilized egg implants and grows here during pregnancy. The uterus expands significantly to accommodate the developing fetus, so it's basically like a cozy home for a baby. Next up is the endometrium. This is the lining of the uterus. It is a structure that changes through the menstrual cycle. It thickens and then is shed with the menstrual period. Or if pregnancy occurs and an embryo is created, the endometrium is the structure in the uterus where the embryo implants and will form a placenta. The cervix. Imagine a little door between the uterus and the vagina. That's the cervix. It is the lower narrow part of the uterus that connects the uterus to the vagina. It secretes mucus that changes in consistency throughout the menstrual cycle. At certain times, the mucus becomes more slippery and stretchy, like raw egg whites. This type of mucus helps sperm travel through the cervix and into the uterus, increasing the chances of fertilization. On the other hand, during less fertile times of the menstrual cycle, the cervical mucus becomes thicker and less conducive to sperm movement. This acts as a natural barrier, helping to prevent sperm from reaching the uterus when fertilization is less likely to occur. The cervix also plays a role in childbirth when it opens up to let the baby pass through. Next, we have the vagina. The vagina is a muscular canal connecting the external reproductive organs to the cervix. This is where sexual intercourse happens, and it is also where sperm are deposited. It acts as a birth canal during childbirth. The vagina also has a slightly acidic pH level. This natural acidity acts as a defense mechanism, creating an environment that helps keep harmful bacteria and other pathogens in check. It's like a protective shield for the reproductive system. Now that we've learned about the main parts of the internal structures, let's do a quick recap. The ovaries produce eggs and hormones. The fimbriae capture and guide the egg to the fallopian tube for fertilization. Fallopian tubes carry the eggs from the ovaries to the uterus and is the site of fertilization. The uterus is like a home for a growing baby and is where the embryo implants. The endometrium is the lining of the uterus and is also the site of embryo implantation. The cervix protects the uterus and also produces mucus for fertility and childbirth. The vagina allows for childbirth, sexual intercourse, and menstruation. Now, let's move on to the external structures of the female reproductive system, also known as the external genitalia or vulva. Here are the main components. On the left is an animated version of the vulva, while the right is a more realistic version. The vaginal opening is the entrance to the vagina, which leads to the internal reproductive organs. This is the opening through which menstrual blood flows during menstruation. It also serves as the channel for sexual intercourse. The urethra. Just below the clitoris, you'll find a tiny opening called the urethra. This is where urine, pee, comes out of the body. It's important to remember that the urethra is separate from the vaginal opening. The clitoris is a small, highly sensitive organ located at the front junction of the labia minora. It contains a large number of nerve endings, making it one of the most sensitive parts of the body. When stimulated, either directly or indirectly, it can produce pleasurable sensations and contribute to sexual excitement. Therefore, it plays a key role in sexual arousal and pleasure. The labia minora. So, inside the labia majora, you'll find two smaller folds of skin known as the labia minora. They are usually pink and delicate. These folds help protect the vaginal opening and the clitoris. Next up is the labia majora. Picture two soft outer folds of skin that surround the vaginal opening. These folds are called the labia majora. They act like protective walls around the other parts of the vulva. They also contain oil and sweat glands. Lastly, we have the mons pubis, which is the rounded, fatty area located above the pubic bone. It's covered with hair and varies in size from person to person. Think of it like a cushion that helps protect the delicate internal structures. Now let's do a quick recap of the external components of the female reproductive system. Vaginal opening is the entrance to the vagina, the exit for menstrual blood, and the channel for sexual intercourse. The urethra is the tiny opening where urine excretion. The clitoris is a highly sensitive organ that plays a key role in sexual arousal and pleasure. The labia minora are the smaller folds of skin inside the labia majora. The labia majora are the outer folds of skin surrounding the vaginal opening. The mons pubis is the rounded area above the pubic bone. That's all for this session. I hope you learned something, and the next video will cover fertilization. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss any of our educational videos.